If your brand belongs in the heart of the yachting world, this is where it happens. Yachting International Radio reaches over 1 million yachting professionals and enthusiasts every month, with 77 million impressions, 220,000 social followers, and 74,000 podcast subscribers. Our hosts are insiders, crew, captains, CEOs, trusted voices shaping the industry. This is targeted, high-impact advertising in a luxury niche. Visit yachtinginternationalradio.com/advertise. Your audience is already listening.
Top of the morning, folks. It's Captain Liam here. We've got the captain's chat today, and we're honoured to have Jack Haworth from DSS. How are you today, Jack?
I'm really good, Liam. How are you?
Wonderful. We had a nice little chat then talking about your career and how you've kind of progressed and your time at down south in Warsash Maritime College to get your Officer Lost Unlimited, and now you're on a large vessel. We also talked about the problems that we face as chief officers and captains with crew. So tell us about DSS, and I kind of like the story how it started. Anything that starts at a pub with a couple of beers and a mate and it's grown into something great is a good story.
Yeah, so it all started off. I did the traditional yachting route. Started as a deckhand, worked my way up to chief mate 3000, and then made the decision to go to Warsash and sort of convert my license to an unlimited. And the difference with Warsash compared to other yacht courses is it's not a short course; it's 9 months. So what that does is it's a really huge amount of work, but it means the people you're on your course with, you get to know really well, and you're studying in the evenings with them, and you form some really, really close friendships. 16 of us started the course, and 4 dropped out because they miscalculated their sea time. So that was upsetting for everyone, and it sparked the conversation, as you said, over beers with my business partner John, that there's got to be a better way to record sea time. It can't just be an individual effort or a scrap of paper, or if you're really organised, an Excel spreadsheet. There's got to be a better way. So we set out, I don't know, just over a year and a half ago now, with DSS, and we've been developing ever since. And yeah, we hope we've got a solution.
Yeah, I think you do. I remember following you about a year ago. We kind of tried to connect, and I was like, cool, yeah, it'll work. But to be honest, I'm very transparent with people. I'm like, okay, what's the problem with sea time? Because as a cap, like, I knew this was my career. I knew it from the day I first set on sea on a little boat. I'm like, in Australia, I grew up, and at 14, I was doing sea time, and every company I'd work with, every boat, I'd log it, I'd record it, I'd sign it off, I'd get a testimonial, and I'd go. But so many yacht crew don't do that. They don't think it's a life choice and a career. They think it's earn money, get in, get out. So they call me about, when they're leaving, or 6 months later, usually on the bridge, and they say, Cap, can I get a sea time? I'm like, that's your problem. Like, it's, I drive the ship, I'll navigate the crew, and I'll do everything I can, but that's your sea time. And I think that's the wrong approach. I've learned that now by watching you develop your system and listening to junior crew. I need to provide the tool.
Yeah, and I think traditionally your approach has worked. That some people know what they want to start with, and they have the right education and the right knowledge, and they start with this career in mind, and they do it all properly. Even though I wanted this career, and I always knew I wanted to work at sea, I lost my first 4 years of sea time through either not filling in the forms or losing bits of paperwork or whatever. So I was fortunate that I worked on a boat that gave me all the sea time I needed in one go. But a lot of people aren't as lucky to work on such a busy boat. So potentially my career is delayed 4 years because I never did the sea time. And a lot of people as well start the career thinking it's just going to be for a couple of years, and I'll just be a deckhand, and I don't want to be an officer, so they don't bother recording. And then, life happens, and you end up in the industry 5 years later, and all of a sudden you want to be an officer, but it's too late. So hopefully with Digital Sea Service and the platform we built, there's no real excuse not to record your sea time. If you're never going to use it, then you've lost nothing. But if you find out one day that you do need it, and it's all there, and it's all held digitally, and it's all easy to access, then it unlocks so many more doors for you that would otherwise be closed.
Well, I do see it firsthand. I see, like, when people go for courses, I've got an engineer and I've got a second officer now trying to step up, a second engineer, second officer trying to step up, and they're both struggling with sea time. And I'm just like, and that's kind of where we've connected now, is I see it now. And I apologize. Maybe a year ago I should have been more proactive, Jack. And I was like, cool. But a lot of times I don't really get involved in something I don't see the problem firsthand. But now
Yeah.
I'm really seeing it. The other thing to remember, though, is in my generation, I'm 47. So for my first 10, 15 years at sea, it was just black and white. It was just write it, maybe print it if you've got a good cap, or type it out. And you had the 3 questions of the conduct on board. And
Yeah.
it was kind of easy, and you'd fill it in at the end of your time, and then you'd match it with your sea service logbook. But now with digital tools and Starlink, what you're saying is we build the platform, like you've built the platform, you go online, you input the data, and then all crew have access to all the information.
Yeah. So the original DSS product that's out there at the moment, it started with 4 real goals. The first was let's get it online. Let's make sure that you can't lose it. You know, everyone forgets their password every so often, but you just reset it. So once you put the effort in, that's stored digitally online forever for that vessel. You can't lose it. Yes, you can forget your password. If you're going to put the effort into to record what that vessel was doing every single day, then why is that an individual effort? It always has been before.
Yeah.
You know, the bosun and the second officer and the deckhand are all recording their own sea time. It all gets muddled up, and it's probably not the same at the end of it because everyone makes mistakes. So if you're going to put the effort in once, why not be able to share that amongst everyone?
Yeah.
So a lot of our larger boats who have second officers and bits and pieces, or even some of the smaller boats that the chief mates do it, they record the sea time every fortnight, let's say. Everyone knows what they've done the last 2 weeks. And once that's uploaded, all the deckhands and all the engineers and all the other crew can have access to that. The
So like hours of rest, like, more, if they do it every day or every week or every month, hours of rest are kind of similar. Like,
yeah. It's very, very similar. It's just what the yacht's doing in that time. Different regulations in different jurisdictions, obviously, are different. The MCA has lots of different definitions on what a sea day is and whether it's yard service or standby service, etc. And I know there's a few different variations across the world, but everyone needs sea time at some point. The system, as I said, records it all in one place, and then it fills the testimonial in for you as well. So that form at the end with all the vessel details and all the standby days and your conduct and your ability and all that sort of stuff is all automatically completed for you. So all you're left with is a stamp and signature from a good captain like yourself, and then you're good to go.
So that's the verified bit. At the end, they either print it out or digitally we stamp and sign it, and that's the verification process. That is, yeah. So for the UK, I think in the US the Coast Guard verify your sea service, but in the UK, the Coast Guard no longer verifies sea service for yacht crew. They've outsourced that to Nautilus, which is the Maritime Union, and the PYA, which I'm sure you're familiar with, the Professional Yachting Association. So they do the official government verification for that sea time. We're just getting that form filled in for those organisations at the moment. So that was version 1 anyway. So version 2, what can we do to make it better? So you mentioned their digital signatures. That's something we're implementing in version 2. So at the moment you would have to print it out and sign it, but we've got digital signatures and digital stamps coming. And then the next level up is let's remove this manual process of recording days and let's automate it. So we're doing that with AIS data, tracking over 500 vessels. Yeah, we're quite excited. Spend more time drinking tea and having my coffee with my crew.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Even the onboarding process we've made easier, so you can just drag and drop an Excel file and it will upload the whole crew onto Digital Sea Service, completely automatic. And then in theory, you never have to look at it again. So it will just run in the background without any manual input whatsoever. You just say, oh, I don't know, Jack's leaving the vessel today, and it knows who Jack is, and it does the testimonial and it sends it to Jack's email address, and that's as simple as that. You never have to think about it again.
I'm sold, Jack. I'm sold now. I feel silly it took me a year to figure this one out. You know what I mean? Because I've heard of Nautilus and PYA and crew use them, and I'm not going to say, I don't want to say negatives or positives. I don't like comparing people, but what I can say is I've struggled with those companies because it's not seamless. Yeah, and, to be honest, it goes to my junk, and the chief officer's like, "Cap, it's there somewhere." I'm like, "Look, man, I print it out, I'll sign and stamp it. Like, there's digital, there's all this. It's not working for me. Like, it's not seamless." And I think when things aren't seamless, it doesn't create a good user experience, and therefore it's not sustainable. And like that's why I've signed up to everyone, but I'm like, Cool. I'm not seeing a seamless solution. So now I see a seamless solution. So I'm very happy. When's version 2 coming out?
So we're almost ready to beta test. Next couple of days, just polishing a few different bits and pieces, and then we'll do about 2 weeks of beta testing with some guinea pigs that have volunteered to help us. Happy to send you a beta test as well,
Yeah,
Liam,
let's
if you
do
want
it.
to have a look around.
Yeah, we're off
And
around
then,
Alaska, so you'll get to
yeah.
see us in the middle of nowhere, and
Well, every day counts at sea if you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's only when you go near marinas it gets complicated. But yeah, so we're beta testing for a couple of weeks, and then we should be launching towards the end of the month. All going to plan. The system's up and running. It's just we'll try and break it now to make sure it's ready for the consumer once it goes live. So yeah.
I mean, too many people go live with products, and it's like then you see the little hiccups, and you're like, I wish you tested first,
Yeah. We've
Sure.
already been testing a lot in house, but we're almost ready to go sort of semi-public with the beta test. So
Okay, and how's the growth been for the last 12 months? Where's kind of your market, just out of interest? Do you see most in the Med, in Europe, in America?
it's a fairly good split across the world. Our Google Analytics are literally all over the world. People logging in different locations. I don't know nationalities of people that use it, but we launched originally with MCA forms, being the UK Coast Guard, the US Coast Guard, both variations of their forms, and Nautilus and PYA.
Yeah.
We're working on a couple of more forms for the Australians and the Kiwis and people like that. But it takes us a little bit of time. So we are working on that. But most of the market hopefully is ticked off with UK and US in terms of tickets at least.
And South African crew, do they have equal sea time forms, or they mainly use MCA or?
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, I think a lot of South Africans go down the MCA route. They do their training in the UK. So yeah, every South African officer that I know personally is a UK officer, if that makes sense, or UK trained officer.
Let's get our hands onto it. Do you mind sharing your screen? I'm not sure if
Of course.
it'll work.
Yeah.
I really mind checking it out. I mean, I've looked at it, I've logged in, I've registered, but I think you've got a lot more data on yours.
Yeah, so this is version 2, and we're really excited how it looks. So there's a lot of effort gone into the UI and to try and make it a bit more intuitive and a bit more user friendly. So I'll touch on a few of those features as we go through. The other thing that we've really focused on is, okay, we're recording sea time and that's really cool, but how do we make it more interesting, more engaging, and more helpful? So we've got some features on here to assist you with your career and to give you guidance on where to go next. And then we've done some really cool things. If we're tracking all these yachts, then we can award achievements and bits and pieces to people for doing certain things. So I'll show you all that at the moment in a second.
So
it starts off.
stood out. Like a lot of people say we're not competitive, but at the end of the day, no one wants.
Everyone's competitive.
It's like Peloton and all these. Yeah, everyone's competitive to their own. It's like some people don't like to admit it, but it's still you're going to finish your cup of tea. You're going to.
That's exactly what we've tried to do. Let's try and make it a bit more engaging, a little bit more exciting. Sea time, by its very nature, is a little bit of a boring topic. So what can we do to make it funner? So to start off with, again, these figures are nonsense. It's just a testing environment, so don't read too much into the figures. But up here, you've got a total number of sea days you tracked and the total number of miles you've done. So as people will be aware, the RYA at the junior levels care about miles, and the MCA and the US Coast Guard care about days. So we can cater for both on here. It gives you a little total of
how many miles in my career, Jack. I would love to know that number.
It would be exciting to see, wouldn't it? I mean, I wish I had had this on day one, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
And certainly in a second when I show you some of the rewards, that's the bit I'm really interested in.
It's funny, just to diverge, I've got a kayak account, and a lot of my flights are booked through there and all that. And it shows me how many times I've been around the world. My son's always looking at it going, Dad, you got, it's another six, trips, and you've done it 5 or 6 times in an aeroplane. I'm like, I care about the boats, so I want to know how many laps I've done on the boats,
How many circumnavigations? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, hopefully, we work with a lot of training providers helping deckhands get into the industry, and they're being encouraged to download this on day one. So, maybe not immediately, but in the next 20 years, we could have captains who have got their whole sea time recorded from their very first bit of day work all the way through to where they are now, and it would all be recorded, it would all be digitized, it would all be there. So it's exciting where we go in the future.
And it's a
But yeah,
membership
I
based.
wish I did this to start.
Yeah, and it's a membership based subscription, correct? Or is it an annual fee?
Yeah.
Or should the vessel incur the cost, ideally?
So ideally, the vessel would. So there's a couple of different things. When we started out, we it's a free platform, and we committed to being free for people. We didn't want to be one of these other companies that is charging green deck hands or even pre-deck hands. People that haven't even got a paycheck yet for a service that should be free. So the core platform, as I've explained to you, with the manual inputting of days and the automatic calculation and the testimonial filling in, that's always going to be free. So if you don't have the funds to be able to afford to record your sea time automatically, then you can use our service for free. The paid features and the premium features that we're introducing in version 2 obviously cost us a lot of money in terms of tracking vessels. So there is a paywall there. The paywall is either for individuals who are just going to do it just for themselves, and then there's obviously discounts for vessels. So you can sign up 10 crew, and it's much cheaper than 10 individual discounts. So the idea is to incentivize yachts to pay for this, and then it doesn't cost the crew anything.
That's the way it should be, because at the end of the day, it's a tool the chief officer uses to make his job more efficient, or a captain
Yeah.
and chief officer together hand in hand. So it's and a lot of these things I see in the industry now, and platforms that are coming out. I'm like, this is a vessel solution to a problem. Why do we put
Yeah.
it to the poor junior crew member that's just trying to get enough days to do his next course to assist the vessel, to benefit the vessel?
Well, a lot of boats out there have training budgets, and they help people with courses, and the owners of the vessels want to sort of keep their crew involved and want to give back a little bit. So this all ties into that same sort of thing. If you're going to pay for somebody to do their
Yeah.
officer tickets as a vessel, then to get them to that stage, you have to get their sea time first. So hopefully it all fits into the same sort of budgets and things like that.
Yeah.
But talking of helping people with their careers, this is a really good little bar down here. So you can choose at the moment just these 4 options, but we're adding more soon. You can choose which career you're taking. So whether you're a yacht deck officer or a yacht engineer or a merchant officer, you can choose which license that you have currently, and you can choose which license that you're working towards. And then it will give you, oh, doesn't like being zoomed in. It will give you a breakdown of how many days you have to go. So at the moment, I've got 458 days, and I've got 622 to go until my next ticket. So that's really cool. You get a little running total. And then if you want to get a slightly more visual look at how you're doing in terms of your career, then these bars obviously move across here, depending on what your goals are and what you've set as the all next ticket.
And John
And we've
was
even given a bit of
partner,
notice
correct?
down here. Sorry.
John was your partner, correct? Yeah,
Yeah,
business.
yeah. John Bissett. He's a chief officer on another sort of larger yacht, and yeah, it gives us an excuse to chat to each other at least once a week.
Mate, respect. This is a game changer in the industry, 100%. Like I've never seen a tool that I think is it's so usable and tangible. I'm not just saying that because we're having a Zoom captain's chat, and this is not a paid promotion, folks, by the way. This is
We're pre-monetization. I can't afford you, Liam.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, the point is, I do a lot because it's a give back. At my stage in my
Yeah.
career, Jack, it's a give back. And I look at these kids and I look at them struggling to get courses and understand sea time, and being an older captain, I'm like, yeah, no problem. I went through that. Just look at the logbook, count the days,
Yeah.
and it's simple. But it's not for a young kid who's just a young 19-year-old, 20-year-old out there scrubbing teak all day and polishing. The last thing they feel comfortable doing is going into a bridge, flicking through logbooks and
That was
writing the
terrifying.
dates.
Yeah.
And, it is
Even writing the hourly login, I was terrified about my handwriting and my spelling and all
yeah,
the rest of it. It's daunting when you first start, but you have to do this on day one. Otherwise, every day you spend at sea, you're wasting by not recording it.
yeah.
So
Well, it also
so
just
this is
quickly, it
this.
took me about
Yeah, of course.
I want to say hours. It probably took about 8 to 10 hours of me working with the chief of it's a second engineer and also a junior deckhand once to get them to understand the different types of sea time. So it's a time thing as well. And
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in making things more efficient so you can spend more time on the human factor. And that's what creates the success, I think, in yachting, is that human factor.
Yeah.
Where two people can have a discussion, work on bridge management, figure out issues, and be a better team. But go on.
Yeah, for sure, and it's all about giving back, isn't it? You and I have benefited from really good careers so far, and we have to give back a little bit. And this is exactly why we made it free. You know, if you don't want to pay for it, you can still use the core functionality of it. This is really cool though. This is new for us, so this again needs a little bit of work, but you'll get the idea. Let's give you some achievements for what you're doing. So it starts off really easy with your first watch or your first day recorded, but then it can go a little bit further into the first time you cross the Atlantic, or we've got some of the big ocean passages of the world, or we've got the Suez Canal transit, or the Corinth Canal.
Oh,
So as the vessel goes through there, we know if you're on board or not, obviously, and we know what the vessel's doing. So you'll get an achievement to say you've done this. The really exciting one is down here, which is your flag collection. So every time you visit a country, if you're within 2 nautical miles of the coastline, we'll award you a flag for the countries you visited. And this is the one that I really wanted because I've forgotten, to be honest with you, half the places I've been to. So you'll get a little achievement, a little flag that you can share to social media if you're into that sort of thing. And you can say I'm in Panama or I've just crossed the Atlantic for the first time.
can you backdate it? You know?
Yeah, so we're working hard at the moment with a couple of AIS providers. There are a couple of companies out there that offer 2 years of history, but that comes at a significant cost. So it's something we would love to do,
But if a
but
vessel
we
wants
need
to,
we need a little bit of money in the bank before we can afford to backdate it for 2 years.
but I know these are open questions. That's the style of my chat. But if I wanted to backdate it for Unbridled, for example, for the crew that are on board,
Yeah.
um, is that if I can I make that decision with you and make that investment with you?
Yeah, I'm sure we can. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't worked out the specifics of that. It's definitely something we can look into. Um, in terms of backdating days, the actual calendar, that's what a lot of people do when they onboard with us anyway. They just go
Okay.
back through those calendars once for 5 years, and then they've got that history. The AIS data is obviously what we need to access these flags. So
Okay.
that's something I would have to speak to the team about and how it will work. But it's definitely a great idea, something we can look into.
This is fantastic. Like, because then it gives you a goal to achieve. It's like, yeah, I think this is awesome. I'm so happy for
Yeah.
the young generation coming into yachting now. I think it's a
Imagine having your whole career on here from day one to your retirement, and you've got all your achievements and all the rest of it. So
yeah,
it's
like I've done
cool.
I've done the Northwest Passage. I saw that was on there. I've done the Bering
Yeah,
Sea. I saw that was on there. I'm
and
like, oh,
we've even got Monaco Grand Prix and Monaco
done,
Yacht Show and Fort
done,
Lauderdale Boat Show and
done. Oh,
St.
cool.
Bart's New Year's
Done.
week.
America's Cup done. What was the top right
Yeah.
one? I can't see that one. Cairns Film.
It's Cannes Film Festival, that one. But
Oh,
obviously the scope is huge. We can add and take away as much as we want, but the fact that it's here is brilliant. And then the other thing that goes with these achievements, which is really exciting, is okay, it's very cool that you've done something, but why can't there be a reward linked to that? So to launch with initially, we're working with a few training providers and we're in negotiations with them at the moment, so that when you get a certain amount of sea time recorded, we know what your next course should be, your next training course. So let's offer you a discount for that training course. Whatever it is, 10% off at this place or 15% off at this place, and that comes with your achievement. That's obviously linked to your days at sea because it's training, but we could go a little bit further and sort of blue sky thinking. If you're at Monaco Grand Prix and there's a crew event on at Monaco Grand Prix, then we can give you the invitation to that crew event and say, come down for a drink and meet
yeah.
the team at whoever it is, whichever yacht company is hosting that event. So the scope to sort of give back a little bit as well is huge. Obviously, there's a lot of work for us to negotiate all these deals, but it's something that we're determined to do, and it's something that we're gonna make as useful as possible, basically.
Well, I think the end user sees that as a return on investment. Like it's
Well,
silly
that's
the
that's
way
what
the
I was trying to
mind
say.
works.
Yeah,
That's the way the mind works. It's like, okay, I'm paying for this and I get this, but is it equal to what I'm getting? That's always the question people have with business. And you're adding
yeah,
already, I think it's worth it because it's a tool the vessel uses to save time. And I
yeah,
keep saying to everyone, time is the most valuable asset we have as officers and as captains because the more more things you're doing, the more stressed you get. And if you can free
Yes,
up
yeah, of
more
course.
time for your own physical or mental health, or time with crew, or like I say, have a chat like this chat,
Yeah,
or have a cup of tea on the bridge, or chill with a deckhand, and and laugh and tell stories. That's investing in
that's
your
what the
team.
job's about. Yeah, it's investing in people, and the more we could take away. Go back a few years, every boat was using paper charts. That was the second officer's full-time job, was just scribbling on bits of paper and correcting them every week. If you were managing a worldwide portfolio, that's almost your whole week gone. And
Yeah,
now we have Ecdis. So
yeah.
all of a sudden we've got this 5 days worth of work is now an hour's worth of work. So that gives you chance to invest in, training crew members or writing SOPs or improving procedures or whatever it is. So this is just another level up. It's not going to be as revolutionary as Ecdis, obviously,
Oh, I
but
think
if you can save a couple of hours a week, then that's a couple of hours you can invest in training or drills or whatever you want.
well, I disagree. I think it is as revolutionary because it gives a path for crews so simply. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you look at Yacht Spot, they've got a career development path on the side. And I always advise crew, look at that career development, look what courses are next. But it's not live, it's not interactive.
Yeah.
There's no reward-based system there. It's a great platform. But this is it's got a lot. Can we have a look at anything else that you kind of think's exciting for
Yeah,
myself or
of course.
Phil?
So the should probably show you the core product rather than just
Okay.
everything around it. So this is the calendar view here, just backdated a couple of years. So it's all color coded and really easy and intuitive to follow.
Yeah.
So the red ones are port stays, orange ones are yard service and watch keeping and standby, and all the rest of it is all there.
Good choice of
With
color
the
there,
premium,
Jack. Good choice of
good
colors.
choice of color. You
You,
like
you
those
want you
ones?
want the blues and the greens and the yellows.
Yeah, keeps us in our medicals,
Yeah.
making sure that you can still see those colours. So yeah, so that's that. With the premium feature, this calendar's filled in for you, completely automated. But even if you're not on premium, you can literally drag these days across here like that, and then you can click apply, and it will update these colours.
Okay.
As simple as that. So we can just change those to standby, and then they've all gone green there. So
Oh,
it's a lot more user. It's a lot more intuitive to use than the current system, which
okay.
is really cool. And then finally, the sort of core feature of why you're recording all this sea time is these reports here. So you can set it up in such a way that if you know when all your rotations and all your holidays are, or your vacations, then you can input those dates into the system, and it will automatically generate those testimonials on the days that your crew rotate out or go on their vacation or whatever it is.
Mm.
If you don't go for implementing all of that, then you can just go on here and manually generate a report. You can do it for yourself if you're doing it for yourself, or you can do it for a crew member where you can just select which crew member you want to do it for. We can also manage multiple vessels on one account. So I'm thinking about fleets or fleets with a chase boat or maybe a liveaboard chase boat. You can add as many vessels on there as you want. You then simply select which days that you want the testimonial to cover.
Mm.
So 1st of March to the 7th of April, you select your report type, MCA, Nautilus, PYA, US Coast Guard, and you can see here we've automatically calculated the days for you. You proceed to this bit, just gives you another overview of the days that were calculated. Maybe you were sick for a day and you can just edit them on there. It will produce a PDF for you that's already signed and stamped by the captain on a digital signature, and it's all done for you.
Oh, so no waiting for the printer to go and correcting it and
No reason, no
scanning it.
reason to print at all. It will just send the crew member an email. It's stored on the system, so if you ever lose that email, we've got an account of all the records you've ever made, and then yeah, just email it off to the Coast Guard or the PYA, and they'll take care of the rest for you.
Fantastic. What an exciting thing. And have you got a digital background, or let's close the screen if that's okay? Because I want to
Yeah,
have
of
a
course.
little
Yeah,
chat to you if that's all right.
yeah.
Um, how have you created this? I want to hear the story. Have you got a digital background? Because it's a lot from going from a couple of beers in Warsash to a product that's revolutionizing the yachting industry, and especially the newer generation.
Well, yeah, and I've also got my job on top of that as well. But I'm really fortunate. Teamwork makes the dream work, as we all say. So John does a lot of the sort of big thinking ideas and a lot of the features, and he's really good at that sort of bigger picture. We've got another member of the team who's recently come on board who has a bit more of the tech side of it. We've used external developers up until now, but we're bringing a lot more of it in-house. And then I do a little bit of the marketing and a little bit of the finances. So divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Everything's possible if you have little bite-sized pieces to deal with. So
Oh, that's a good lesson for people in life. I think a lot of people try and take on a company idea or something themselves. And number one, you don't have someone to bounce the idea off. Is it a good idea or
oh
bad?
yeah,
You go down a rabbit
yeah.
hole, you know?
I mean this in the best possible way, and I love the people I work with, but normally our decisions are made with a big argument,
Yeah.
in the pub, and we have beers and we talk about it until we get to the compromise.
Yeah.
And that's literally how it works. We're all yacht crew or ex yacht crew. We're all really familiar with the industry. We all know what the job takes. I mean, two of us are still doing the job, so
Yeah.
it's as much for us as it is for everyone else. We're both officers in yachting, who are fed up of this, who are fed up of this sea time job. So if we
Yeah.
can make our lives easier and share it with everyone else, then why not?
And where do you see the most positive feedback? Like, I mean, honestly, as a captain, like we said, a year ago we were talking, and I didn't see the tangible value because it's as a captain, I'm not. I want to be honest. I kind of put it down to the crew as their responsibility, as your
Yeah,
career. There's only so much I can
yeah.
do as a cap. Like I
I
can
mean,
help you, but
the pitch for us is different depending on who you're sat in front of. So for captains and management companies, I would always say that, whether you like it or not, this is taking up time in your team, whether it's the officer doing it for people, whether it's doing it for people that used to work on your boat that have emailed out of the blue, or whether it's the deckhand or the junior engineer that's doing it from themselves. This is taking up productive time. So there's a massive benefit there in terms of productivity. It also ticks a lot of boxes if you've got a nice training program and you're trying to reinvest with your crew. And for junior crew who are doing it for themselves, then you can just sign up. If you're able to pay, then you never have to think about it again. If you're not able to pay, it's a lot easier than the alternative.
yeah,
And just do it. Record it now. You might never need it. You might choose in a couple of years' time. Yachting's not for you, and you can come out. But wouldn't it be great to have that option? Don't waste your time.
exactly. And to confirm on the onboarding process, the chief
Yeah.
officer can go back into the calendar and re-enter the days at sea and at the dock.
Yeah. So when we onboard at the moment, or I've just joined a new boat recently.
Yeah.
First thing I did is I got the official logbooks out, the 5 years history, and it took me a couple of hours. But once I've made that effort once, that's kept forever then. So yeah, you have to invest a bit of time to get the system working, but once it's done, that's it. You'll never have to do it again. So yeah, you can onboard, you can backdate, and yeah, when you get that phone call and you get that deckhand that used to work with you 2 years ago, and you say, "Can I have a testimonial?" It's 2 or 3 clicks of a button, and I can send you a testimonial rather than pulling all the logbooks out, counting back, adding up all the various different days, filling in all the paperwork, which is an hour out of your day, and for somebody that doesn't even work for you anymore.
Good. I've got 2 more questions, and we're going brainstorming here because you're a smart man and you've got a smart business, Jack and John, or isn't that a brand as well? Jack and John. It's Jack and Jones.
I don't know. It could be.
Jack and John. References. How do
Yeah.
you handle references? Because that does take a lot of my time as well, and it's honored to do it. Honored to do it. But how do you handle it in your programs? This is not DSS. This is just
No.
you guys have
It's not. So it's nothing to do with us. I mean, I think traditionally it's been sort of who you know, and if there's a reference of somebody that you know personally, then that's the one you take, isn't it? When you're looking at someone's CV, obviously agents should be checking references, and a lot of them do a very good job. But I've had first-hand experience where they said the references are checked and the candidate's never spoken to the agent. So there is a lot of problems out there with references. I don't know what the solution is, to be honest with you. It would be great in the future to have like a reference service that may be integrated with our C service and with your certificates. I know there's a lot of work going on at the moment to digitize certificates. So all of these little elements talking to each other to verify that that person is the person they say they are. They have got the experience they said, and they were this good at their job.
Yeah,
There's got to be a future where all of that links in with a digital token or something, and it's it's a verified reference, but
Yeah.
it's it's
I
something that's possible. I know it's possible.
see a
I
reference.
just don't know how much appetite.
Yeah, like a reference as I've heard crew complain that sometimes they get references from CAPS, which is just the sea time form. This is your
Yeah,
information. You're on board from this date to this date. You got this many days at sea. And if you look at the MCA form, you'll see it has conduct written on it. There's three
yeah,
areas to fill out about the crew member's behavior. And I've seen crew when there's been a disagreement in the departure that have been given these forms as a reference. And that's kind
yeah.
of why I asked too. So it does, because the two things go hand in hand. Sea time references and like verification of documents. They're all
Yeah,
in
for
that,
sure.
progression of a crew member's career.
And I think as well, what's the biggest thing that we're checking with a reference? The first thing you should be asking yourself is that person the captain on that vessel, or is that person the chief officer on that vessel? Is it a friend of the person who's pretending to be the chief officer? And the same thing goes for testimonials as well. The reason that the PYA and Nautilus email the captains is to make sure that you've actually filled the form in. And that's why you have to have a work email address. Well, with our system that could be applied to anything in the future, we know exactly who's working on that boat. We know when they worked on there. We know when they left. We know what that boat was doing. We know the location they're in. We know who their co-workers are. So there's potentially room there to expand our services in the future into verification and references.
Fantastic. And then the final question is trends in yachting. What are you seeing? You're on a big program now. You've obviously probably see a lot more technology than I'm exposed to, but I do a lot within boat shows. I've seen a lot of AI. I've seen nuclear as a power source that's coming within 3 years, and I'm really excited for the future of yachting, alongside tools like yourself. What do you see? What are you excited about in the future of yachting that you see coming along?
Well, I think the industry is just getting bigger. It's getting bigger in numbers of vessels, in the size of vessels, and the number of crew. Everything seems to be moving forwards, and it's exciting to see what would happen. I think drone technology is one of the most exciting things. I know Fedship a few years ago were trialing drones that could carry people rather than having helicopters. I think that's unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
There was even a drone that rinses the hull for you at Monaco Yacht Show. I went there for Digital Sea Service
Is that
last year.
real? I saw that. I thought that was AI.
Yeah. No, that's a drone that knows the boat, and it rinses the hull every time you arrive at an anchorage with deionized water.
Where does it
So
go? Like, does the hose go to the drone and then it shoots it on
a
the hull?
really thin hose that pumps smart water or clean water or whatever you want to call it, distilled water, and it just goes along and rinses the hull for you. But everyone thinks, oh, well, that might put me out of the job, or maybe we don't need as many deckhands. It's not true, because that deckhand's time, or whoever it is that is being helped by that product, can be devoted to the things that we actually need humans for, which is that face-to-face interaction, or checking on a guest, or
Yeah.
getting water sports ready, or playing with the owner's children, or whatever it is. Just because you're not doing the mundane routine jobs, because a robot's doing it for you, gives you more chance to do the fun stuff. And again, hate to shamelessly plug like that, but again, that's what the Digital Sea
Yeah.
Service is doing. It's saving you time so you can do more important things.
Well, that's why I see it now. Like, I really agree with you 100%. And I see like AI as a tool and technology as a tool that frees up time, because, everyone fears about, like you're saying, AI taking their jobs. No, it's making your job more efficient. Whether
Mhm.
it's standard operating procedures or checklists or permits to work or whatever it is, these tools can interact with a computer or an iPad and make it more seamless. And that
Yeah,
frees up time rather than printing a form, filling in a form with ink, scanning a form, uploading. And so many boats still do that. And I'm
yeah,
like,
of course, of
wow,
course.
you know?
It's like accounting softwares or any of the other productivity tools. The more you invest into AI and into technology, the more it helps you.
Yes.
And none of us, if we're doing everything manually, none of us are doing our jobs as well as we can. If you're doing printing off forms and paper passage planning and paper chart corrections, that's taking away from something you could be spending your time on. So something has to give. You only have so many hours in the week.
Yeah.
So you give up on checking in on the laundry team, or you give up on doing extra training above and beyond the bare minimum drills.
Yeah.
Um, something has to give. So if you free up time with tasks that can be taken up with technology, then you can do more training, you can invest more into your people, and you can make a better product ultimately for the owner because the team are more engaged in them and not with stuff that can be dealt with technology.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, it's a guest experience is what we're aiming for. The best guest experience, whether it's making sure the hull's clean or making sure the crew are progressing in their careers. It's a guest experience at the end of the day. There's a note there on the side here, I'm looking at it, that says, "Can AI collaborate with me to do this better?" And that changes the mindset. Like like I'm an older gentleman, and I'm AI. I could probably, like I could probably forget about it and get through the rest of my life and not worry. But I've chosen
Yeah.
to do the opposite. I'm jumping in. However,
Hmm.
I've got a 14-year-old daughter, a 16-year-old son, and this is an interesting take. She says, "Dad, don't use AI because it is the largest consumer of fresh water in the world."
Yeah, the energy burden is amazing,
And the
or it's
energy burden.
astonishing. Yeah,
And she went through
yeah,
my phone and she said, "You've done 10 Perplexity or Claude chats, AI chats in the last 24 hours." And I said,
mm,
"Okay, that's interesting." She goes, "Each chat takes about 100 milliliters of water, and it
yeah,
evaporates at it, and it's consumption." So you got
yeah,
two people at different generational gaps, a 14-year-old girl and a 47-year-old, man. And I'm
yeah,
trying to get on AI, and she's like, "No, I don't want AI because I want to save the world." So it's an interesting
yeah.
conversation.
No, 100%. And I think there is solutions to this. Google, I mean, I'm really speaking
Yeah.
outside of my expertise here, but
Right.
Google are now putting data centers under the sea because they've got an abundance of water. So in terms of their cooling and stuff, they're just putting them at the bottom of the ocean. So there is people working on this at the moment. I know all emerging technology is bad. Look at the Industrial Revolution and coal powered
Yeah.
power stations and stuff like that. Well, we don't use coal.
Okay.
We've got rid of a lot of factories and put robots in there now to do the jobs for us. But it all has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't think you should turn your back on AI just because
Exactly.
it's not perfect at the moment. It will be perfect in 30 years' time, and there are ways to deal with it.
You're English,
And
correct?
certainly from an environment, I am, yeah.
I've never heard such a positive Englishman. Usually the Australians are positive and the English are like, "Oh, you're terrible AI. Ruin the pub atmosphere, ruin the environment."
Yeah, I mean, I live in rural England as well. I'm in
Okay.
Devon, so
Oh,
there's even more of those characters where I live. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
completely different to the norm down here.
All right, mate. I really appreciate your time. How can people get a hold of you, DSS?
Yeah, so just Digital Sea Service, www.digitalseaservice.com. We're on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. And my name's at the bottom of the screen if you want to reach out to me personally. Then I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn. So yeah, get in touch. If you've got any problems with your sea time or you get stuck or you don't know how to start, we're all here for you. We're really quick to respond to emails and to DMs. We all want to give a little bit back as well. We've had a good career so far, so it'd be good to encourage the next generation.
Well, that's it, mate. It's the future of yachting. So we can sit back as older gentlemen in the pub having a cold beer and going, "Yep, it's working. It's working. It's
It's better
working."
than when I started.
That's it, mate. That is exactly it. All right, mate. I appreciate Jack. Thanks for your time today. Everyone be safe out there.